new book on what's about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. One of her advocacy helping leaders, individuals achieve holistic success personally and professionally. None other than Miss Liz What?
Hello, thank you for having me on the podcast today.
Welcome, Miss Liz on Book One Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yeah, I'm Liz Watt and I run Be Healthy Utah. It's the largest natural health conference basically in the West. And we created a platform where people could come and learn how to take care of them in a natural approach.
In a natural approach. Yes, and we love that. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Liz. Thank you. And today let's talk about becoming you, reclaiming identity, worth, and voice. So, the great disconnect. Let's start with the core experience. You talk about reclaiming identity, which is implies it was a loss or buried. What does loss feel like on a day to day basis for someone? How do they know they're living disconnected from their true selves?
Well, for many, many years, I lived that way. And it started to, I kept on having these feelings that I needed to do more and contribute more and that I had a bigger platform than I needed to do. But what happens is when we're not true with who we are and our identity, we don't actually we do everything within our power to push us forward. So what does that do to us? It causes stress. Starts creating anxiety. It starts to create disconnection from other people because we know we need to do something, but when we don't feel like we are capable or valued enough to do that, we hold ourselves back in so many different ways. And that's what happened to me is I just started to hold myself back from from moving forward and trying to do the things that I just knew that was on my heart that I needed to do. And so when it comes down to it, we are our worst critics in our lives because we don't really truly know the worth that we have inside.
True, we are the worst critic of ourselves. And Miss Lees, you often point to the should and external expectations that obscure our identity. Being a parent in society, what are some of the more subtle or insidious systems like productivity culture, social media algorithms, and professional norms that quietly become architect of a false self?
Yeah, so what we do is we look at other things of what other people are doing around us and we think we have to be that. But really what it is that we we all have a purpose here and we all have, if it is that we are an author, if we are a speaker, if we put on events, if we are going to have the beautiful experience of being a parent, whatever it is, we have these roles within our lives. But often what times is we look at everyone else and what they're doing and we put our worth on them as what they're doing instead of realizing what is it that's inside of us that we are supposed to be doing. And when we live on if when we focus on that, we pull ourselves back in and we focus on that, then it's like the doors open up and we're able then to be able to do what it is in this next step. If it's you're writing your book, if it is you being on a podcast, if it is you speaking in front of people, coming up to be what your true authentic self is by not looking at what other people's paths are, because that is where it causes a lot of contentment with inside of ourselves. And we just have to be true to who we are and what our purpose is.
Very well said, Miss Liz. So the voice in the attic. When our authentic voice is silent, whether a trauma or a need to belong or constant correction, where does it go? Does it simply go quiet or does it manifest in other ways like anxiety, chronic resentment, or sense of emptiness?
I was sick for a long time because I had things in my past. We all have a life. We all experience different things, and our body processes things in a different way. And I because I didn't really deal with the emotions that I was experiencing, then I became sick. And it wasn't until later on, after going through this healing process of trying to heal my body and heal my emotions, that I realized that those things that I was holding on to in the past was actually being manifested in my health now. And it wasn't until I started to address that then that I was able, after I addressed all of these things, I was then able to create a platform now where I have thousands of people that come to our events every year, and they're able to learn and experience things and be able to be educated. But I could not do that until I first learned how to address those emotions that I was holding on to within me, where I could get rid of the stress and the anxiety and, the what people thought of me, and am I really able to be capable enough to do this? Am I worthy enough to be able to do this? But once I addressed that, then it's like we all become so unstoppable in whatever our purpose is.
Unstoppable. We love that, Miss Lees. The idea that our worth is tied to our output is pervasive. How does this transactional model of self worth not only exhaust us, but actively prevent us from discovering who we are outside of what we do or achieve?
So when we are focusing on what is not our path, it is so easy to get diverted onto other people's. And when all that does is create a point of exhaustion. And this is where we start to burn out because we are trying to fulfill everyone else's dreams,
Mm-hmm.
everybody
Yes.
else's paths, except for our own, because we don't feel that our path is worthy enough. And so we start searching for other things out there, everyone else's paths out there, and we start thinking that we need to incorporate this and we need to incorporate that and we need to bring this in here. But really, all that does is burn us out. And that's when we start to burn out. That's when we have the stress and the anxiety that start to pop up, and we're not becoming true to what it is that we're supposed to do. So we need to block out what others are and come to, like, is this really what I want? We need to ask ourselves every time we do something, is this in my path? Is this in my lane? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing, or am I doing something that is distracting me from what my purpose is?
Yes, definitely. Ask yourself, people. This who I am? Or this is who am I? The identity shadow. Many people build a persona that is competent and likable but feels hollow. What is the critical difference between the socially constructed persona and a genuine integrated identity? How can someone start to tell them apart?
So often what I feel is that when we are not in true alignment with ourselves, there is not a flow that comes to what we're doing. We are going to have obstacles that come our way. But when we are in the flow of the next step and the next step and the next step, when we are in our lane, it's like our minds open up and we start having more inspiration. We start having other ideas. We start meeting people on our paths that are supposed to be there. Now, I'm not saying that every time we come across a problem that that's where we run, because that is not true. We have things within our way that are going to teach us and help us learn. But if we are constantly out of congruence of who we are, then we are going to be in situations that are not going to be that is going to stop us from able to go forward. And so we need to pull ourselves back in and be like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this where I'm supposed to be going? Because if we are not, we're not going to be able to show up in our whole self and who we are. And we also, when we're in this process, we need to look at every area of our life. We need to look at emotionally, physically, spiritually, and we need to heal each of these areas. And each of these areas need to be in alignment with whatever it is that whatever our process is of what we are trying to find ourselves or our purpose or whatever it is. If we are going to be um, taking on new projects, it has to be in alignment with who we are.
Alignment indeed. So, Miss Lees, you talk about the authentic self communicating through intuition, joy, and somatic cues. In a noisy world, how would you practice turning into those quiet whisperers in our own truth? Is it in gut feeling, a moment of spontaneous laughter, or a bodily no?
I believe that it's all within our hearts. It's all there.
Yes.
It's all there. And we just have to listen. We have to listen to what is our heart telling us. And it will tell us. Our heart is a very powerful tool that we have. And when we get new information in, if we take that time to just be still and to listen, then that's where our heart will guide us there. And we can
Mm,
feel it because it's either pushing us forward or it's suppressing us backward. And if it is just in a moment of stillness, it might be also that you need to learn more or experience more, and that's okay too. But if we just take those moments to just be still and ask ourselves, I know that our hearts will tell us. And so that is how I find out how to become my authentic self, is to
mm.
how I become me, how I become the person that I am supposed to be, is that I stop and I ask and I listen.
Stop and listen, people. I think that's the good advice, Miss Lees. Moving from conditional worth to inherent worth is a seismic shift. How do we begin to metabolize the idea that the worth is not earned but fundamentally given simply because we exist? What are the practice begins to rewire that belief?
So I always say that we need to have a spiritual connection to whatever we are doing. And these spiritual connections are right in front of us all the time. And we can call it whatever we want it to be, but it is being validated by, if you run into somebody and they have some advice for you. If you have this if you have, let's just say, one night you have a dream and there's something that you remember that's supposed to help you along your path, then you remember that. If there was a song that you hear on the radio and there's a part of it that just resonates with you, or you're reading a book and there's something in there that the words just stand out to you and you feel like that's being spoken right to you, those are the spiritual connections that I talk about. And that as we go through, uh, through our life, we're going to be faced with a lot of different things that come our way. But if we go back and we call upon these moments, these moments where we felt like we were guided in a different way, then we realize that this is our path. And these things that were placed before us were placed before us for a reason. And that we need to, that was just given to us from a greater power out there so that we can be on that path, because what we do in our lives is we are worthy enough to be able to receive and get anything that we want. But we have to know that we can believe that. And that when we see these spiritual connections that come our way, we have to always remember that it's our validation that we are on that right path.
Yes, we must have the right path, people, to succeed. And Miss Liz, as helping leaders and individuals achieving holistic success, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, I believe that I want to create a platform. I want to that thousands and thousands of people can come and learn more about themselves, because of like how to take care of themselves in a natural way, how to be able to realize that their bodies can heal and all that stuff, because I feel that when we are running at our best, then we can become the best leader that we can, that we can be able to serve and have our businesses run the best that we can, that we can be able to be the leader that others need to have. And if we come up just shortchanged in who we are, if we are not focusing on always improving ourselves, then when we go out into the world, we're not going to be able to be used in the best capacity that we can. So, my goal is that I want people to understand how important they are, how important their bodies are, and how important their contribution is to this world.
Well, good luck to your goals, Miss, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
That you can accomplish anything that you want if you first believe in yourself.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, people, believe within yourself. I can do it. The I can do it mindset. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence you, Johnny?
So, um, I really like, lately I've read that the Mel Robbins one, Just Let Them, because
Mm-hmm.
I think that we like to control so much in our lives, and it's
True.
not about controlling other people. We have to just let other people live their lives, and so that we can live our true purpose.
Definitely let them, people, let them, and let me do it by myself. Yes, what inspiring recommended book, Miss Liz. And tell us the ripple effect when one person in a family or community does this deep work or reclamation, what tends to happen in the ecosystem around them? Does it create a healthy disruption? Does it give others permission?
Oh, it definitely gives people permission, because they see these they when people are living within alignment, it seems like they are attracted to them. They want to be with them. They want to grow with them. And so when they see that you are projecting, everything we do is going to project good, or it's going to project negative around people. But when they see that you're within this alignment, they want to come with you. They want to share that with you. They want to grow it with you. And so that is how, like, we can, as we're growing and we're living in alignment, if people want to join us to be able to create a greater purpose, then we can do so much more together than even by ourselves.
Mm, definitely. So, Ms. Liz, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well, comedy 101 third season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 are in fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101 in its fourth season, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible verses 101 are my baby podcasts. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Lee's, tell us the maintenance plan. This is not one time fix. What does the ongoing practice of staying reclaimed look like? Are there daily or weekly non negotiable that protect one's identity, worth, and invoice or the voice from being co opted again by old patterns?
You have to create routine. Otherwise, you will have distraction. And the routine that I create is that I wake up in the morning and before the world begins, I take time with myself to focus on who is it that I want to show up like today. And I meditate and I ask and I receive and I write and I get down to the person of who I am and what is it that I want. Because as soon as I stand up, as soon as I walk out of that room, that's when the world begins. And we cannot, if we're not grounded in who we are, then we will allow the world to dictate who we are.
Very well said, Miss Lees. Very well said. And thank you so much for sharing the knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so right now I am on I am getting on like talking to other businesses now about how they can incorporate the Thrive framework within their businesses so that they can increase their productivity within their companies, so they can their company so the employees can feel like that they have a safe place that they can learn and grow and heal and be able to get the message out there that if we show up in our true self, then we create an environment of our whole self leadership because we are showing up whole. Because if we don't show up whole, then we are not going to be able to sustain and build the businesses that we want to.
Wow, again, Ms. Lees, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, people, let's support Ms. Lees. Well, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to rise. And I have one more question before I will let you go, Ms. Lees. Finally, looking back on your own and the stories you've witnessed, what is the most surprising, counterintuitive, or a beautiful gift that emerges from the difficult work from becoming who you truly are?
The greatest gift that we have is that we can live and create the purpose of what we were meant to do. That is the greatest gift, is that we can create our purpose of what we are meant to be.
Beautiful, Beautiful, Miss Lee. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for today.
Marticon people, see you soon.